All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. My name is Nolan Groce. I'm with Urban Design Partners. We are representing the PACES Foundation on Rezoning Petition 2023-124. This is for Kendall Multifamily. You can see the site as it exists today. This view is from Dilling Farm Road. Joining me this evening are Kevin DeQuattro and Steve Bean with Soho Housing Partners. If you gentlemen want to take a few minutes to introduce yourselves and your involvement with the rezoning petition, the floor is yours.
Good. Well, thank you, Nolan, and we appreciate joining Susie and Sam and Ann and folks at Urban Design. We've been active in the Charlotte neighborhood community for going on 3+ years with a project under development off of West Boulevard it's now called the Legacy at Car Heights. It had been historic far. During that time, we got to intimately know that and partner with the West Community and Neighborhood Coalition. Throughout that process, we've really got and relate to this neighborhood. I have a tenure in Charlotte going back to college and a longstanding history and a lot of relationships going back 30+ years in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg area. So we had a natural interest in this community and this neighborhood. This site came to us about 6 months ago. So we got under contract and we toured the site. We initially met on site with and then Paul Pinnell, obviously with Urban Design. Architects met us on site, and we have an extreme interest in this site. I think it's a great site for senior project. So it sort of segued going through the rezoning process. What we typically do is make outreach for the neighborhood. Oh, I'm sorry. Susan, can you hear me now?
Hey,
Yeah, barely.
it's in and
Like,
out.
I'm sorry.
But your senses are dropping off. So it is getting cut up.
How about now? Is that any better?
much better.
Much better.
Oh, okay. I won't go through the whole spiel again. So we've got an existing project off of West Boulevard, see at Car Heights, that we partnered with the coalition with Ricky, and through that process we built a really good understanding of the community, the neighborhood, and because of that, this property came up 6 to 8 months ago. Another opportunity for us to come into the community, partner if there was a need or an interest, and possibly build a senior project on Kendall or Dilling Road. And so because of that, we met with Sam, we met with the architect team, and so this is just a natural progression, big outreach. And I'm sorry, someone say something.
I think you were just getting feedback.
Yeah, I think you're cutting out, and it sounds like you were really far away. You keep cutting out, so we're hearing bits and pieces of what you're saying.
I don't know what to do. Still no luck. Can you hear us at all right now? Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear, but it cuts off. I'm not sure it's because you guys look like you're far from the speaker, so I don't know if you want to dial in or get closer to the speaker. It sounds like.
Sam, is this any better?
That's much better. Yeah, much better.
So yeah, so I'll just up with Kevin. So as Kevin was saying, we're already doing the development over on West Boulevard. It's a 12 senior deal. It was previously called Nathaniel Carr, now called the Legacy at Car Heights. Yep. We're taking interest in this site that you see here.
Got under contract 6 months ago with a seller that, you know, had a family plan there that didn't very conducive property, much less it was going to require, or at least the city was requiring some sort of or I mean a road crossing over the natural preserve in the buffers the neighborhood. We decided that we'd like to kind of take what we're already doing on West Boulevard, that wonderful senior project that's highly amenitized, beautiful designs, bring it to this site with the grocery and the medical and pharmacy right around the corner. It would be a very lovely location for senior. We've been working with the city to try to make sure that we don't, you know, disturb any of the natural preserve in the back there. Don't approach anything to give that natural buffer between us, this potential property in the neighborhood. So wanted to make sure we're presenting to the neighborhood. We want to get your feedback and involvement, you know, much like we did at West Boulevard. We're highly involved with the neighborhood. Sam, I think to meet you with this previously. Paul had a relationship with you, and so it was very great to have that discussion. And I kind of, you know, I think Kevin and I want to open it up to you guys once again. We're a highly involved developer in the Charlotte market. We own a property in Rock Hill Senior. Obviously, the West Boulevard. We've got another project in West Boulevard we're working in the beginning stages on as well. So we're throughout the community and just continue to look for new places to build and certainly communities we can work together with and find, you know, some nice development opportunities and common relations.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us on this call for our required community evening for Rezoning Petition 2023-124. Again, my name is Nolan Groce with Urban Design Partners, and we'll go ahead and jump into the presentation. All right. If there is a delay or anything with slides, please let me know. So to ask a question during the meeting, please utilize the chat box, the chat function. At the end of the presentation, we will go through the chat and answer any questions that you may have. Now, given that we have a rather small group this evening, if at the end of the presentation, if everyone would like to come off mute, we can have more of a casual conversation about the project. Here's an aerial of our site. This is parcel 055-19168 in the city of Charlotte. It is approximately 10.54 acres located to the southeast of Dilling Farm Road, south of Moore's Chapel Road, west of Kendall Drive, and to the east of I-485. Here's another aerial of the property with abutting parcel lines. There is an existing creek on the eastern edge of the property. However, the majority of the site is currently wooded and it is vacant. Okay, so why are we here this evening? What exactly is zoning? So we're here this evening requesting to rezone the parcel from MX2 to N2A CD for a multifamily development. So this property was entitled almost 20 years ago under Charlotte Rezoning Petition 2005-121, which was also for a multifamily development and community. So what exactly is zoning? And what are all of these different zones you see on the screen? Zoning is the city's method of classifying land by usage. This chart shows current zoning districts under the City of Charlotte Unified Development Ordinance, ranging from the N1, N2, lower intensive uses, all the way up to TODs, which are transit-oriented developments. There are two types of rezoning petitions. There are conventional rezonings and what we are proposing, which is a conditional zoning. Conventional petitions follow the standards set forth in the zoning district. However, a conditional zoning includes a site-specific plan, which we'll get into a little bit later, as well as conditions that can go above and beyond the base ordinance requirements. A few other relevant planning items are the Charlotte 2040 Comprehensive Plan. So, the comprehensive plan is a living document that helps provide a policy framework to guide the city's decision making process and investment in the near and long term. There's also the Charlotte Unified Development Ordinance. The Unified Development Ordinance replaced the Charlotte zoning and subdivision codes and took effect June 1st of 2023. There's also the 2040 Policy Map. The policy map is a future land use map that helps identify land uses most suitable for future development. Here's a current zoning map with districts in the area. As I mentioned, our site is currently zoned MX2 under that 2005 zoning petition. The property directly to the east was also part of that rezoning petition, being zoned MX2. There's also neighborhood services, as well as an array of residential options from N1A to N1D, as well as CG, which is general commercial. Our rezoning request for this project is to rezone the property from MX2 Mixed Use District 2 to Neighborhood 2A CD Conditional District. The Charlotte Future 2040 Policy Map identifies the property as Neighborhood 1 place type. To the east, there is a commercial place type, as well as a neighborhood center to the northwest. I think it's important to keep in mind the existing entitlement of the property, which is for a multifamily development, which is generally a neighborhood 2 place type. Okay, a few design considerations that go into site planning with conditional zoning. There's existing conditions such as topography and woodlands. There's the City of Charlotte Unified Development Ordinance, the code and guidelines to develop the community. Community input and involvement, kind of like the meeting we're having this evening, engaging and receiving feedback. Environmental features such as creeks, wetlands, and buffers. And there's also the 2040 plan and policy map. Like to take into account pedestrian safety, coordinating vehicular traffic patterns, as well as looking at green space and natural areas that exist on site and seeing how we can amenitize those. All right, so here is our rezoning site plan for petition 2023-124. I'm going to jump ahead on one more slide so we can have a rendering. It's a little easier on the eye. So this is our rezoning site plan. It is proposing 2 multifamily stacked buildings, allowing for the development of up to 140 affordable age-restricted units. So age-restricted means a community intended and operated for regular occupancy by persons 55 of age or older, such that 100% of the units have at least one occupant who is 55 or older. And affordable meaning occupants can have up to 80% of the area median income, or AMI. And these are both included as conditions of the rezoning petition. There's a proposed public road connection from Dilling Farm Road leading into the site, which will have private internal circulation and parking area. There's also a sidewalk connection from the public road, which will meander across the site and eventually connect back to the north, or plan west as we see it on the screen, to Moores Chapel Road. There will be an amenity area located between the 2 buildings in a plaza, along with a proposed stormwater pond, which is on the southern portion or eastern part of the site, as well as tree save and natural areas and buffers along the property lines to respect the existing single-family homes along Dilling Farm. Okay, so Zoning petition timeline. Where do we go from this evening? Tonight, we're having our community meeting on November 30th, 2023. And you can see two potential timelines, and we provide those because there's a best case scenario, but there's also a chance that we may need to defer for a month, whether we need to engage the community more, receive additional feedback, or coordinate with staff on outstanding items. So our anticipated track is to go to a public hearing January 16th, followed by the zoning committee on January 30th, with a possible council decision of February 19th, 2024. Again, there is the deferred option, which would provide a public hearing in February, on February 19th, which would be followed by the zoning committee on March 5th, with a possible council decision of March 18th, 2024. So I know that was a high level, pretty quick run through of rezoning petition 2023-124. But at this time, I'm happy to field any questions that you may have this evening. If you'd like to come off mute or type them in the chat box, I'm happy to have a dialogue about it.
Yes, thank you for the presentation and sharing the rezoning. Could you go back to the screen?
Sure.
That has the two building congested, next to each other. So a couple questions that I have, and they all may kind of just bounce into each other. My first question, because I'm actually on my phone, so I'm not seeing it right. Is there a buffer between the building and where the houses are, and also where the shopping strip is, and what's the measurement of that specific buffer?
Yeah, so the existing single-family homes south of Dilling Farm Road, where it goes into a private drive, there is a buffer there along the property line. I believe it is a Type C landscape buffer. There's also our large tree save area at the southern end of the site. The buildings on the other side of the property, to the existing commercial area and single-family neighborhood, there is over a 100-foot buffer. Ooh.
Got it. I know part of the original concern when this was presented that I share with Paul and several of the owners of the property is my biggest concern is the level of traffic that's going to come, and I get it. I don't know how many cars this is, because I don't know how many parking spots there is there, but the level of traffic that's going to come when you have folks that are coming off the freeway, either they want to go right or they're going around a roundabout. What I would say right now, as I'm speaking to you, I can almost guarantee you Morris Chapel Road is backed up from the roundabout all the way down to Little Rock Road because of the traffic. So my biggest concern is that you all are bringing more cars. I get it, as seniors, everyone won't have a car, but you're gonna have a majority with a car. So you're bringing more cars, and they'll be coming off of this tight road, Dilling Farm Road, all time of the day, all time of the night. That's going to increase the traffic because they'll have to go right in order to turn around in the Food Lion, come back down to Kendall Drive, and then get back left if they want to get on the freeway. That's going to be a nightmare. So I had to explain it that way because I truly want to know, how are you guys going to address the traffic congestion outside of putting the entrance on Dilling Farm Road, which doesn't solve the problem? How are you guys going to address the traffic congestion that's going to happen with this development?
Sure. So generally speaking, the project would not be required to conduct a TIA or a transportation impact analysis due to the number of units at only 140 multifamily units. As part of the ITE, the traffic engineers guide, age-restricted housing has a significantly lower trip generation than traditional multifamily or single-family housing. So there are less trips per day produced by this type of project than a traditional apartment complex. With that being said, we are coordinating with NCDOT as well as CDOT, the Charlotte Department of Transportation, regarding roadway improvements along Dilling Farm Road and Moore's Chapel Road, knowing that there are existing traffic issues in the area. So that coordination is ongoing. I spoke with several NCDOT representatives actually yesterday afternoon about the site.
Would it be possible to keep us up to date on that? Because as it stands right now, that is my biggest concern. And part of the reason why it is my biggest concern, because I do live in a community that this property is buffering. So the community that's back there is my community.
Okay.
And it's a nightmare when I'm trying to leave out or come in because of the amount of traffic that's on Morris Chapel Road in the morning with the school buses, or in the evening when you're trying to come home from work. And I understand that every person 55 and older isn't expected to have a car. So we're in 2023. I think almost everybody have a car now, even if they're 70, 80 years old. So I definitely see that being an issue.
Yeah, let me interject if you wouldn't mind. And I appreciate the concerns. And you know, one thing, we own a lot of senior communities in our portfolio. And we're starting the leasing process even in West Boulevard on our existing transaction. You know, by and large, even though we're 55 and older, most of the properties the senior properties we have, the median age is much further north than 50. Yeah, it's in the 70s. What you have is pretty much everyone's retiree that lives in the community. Their normal traffic hours are not sort of the business commuter evening and the morning kind of world. If they do go out, it would be typically to go to the shopping center in the afternoon, or go to a doctor's appointment at some time, in hours of 9 to 5. Usually that's our experience with all our properties, and our properties will also have spaces located in buildings. And we also design in the buildings a structural location examination room for visiting physicians, which also provides many of our households the allowance to not have to go commute, because again, at that age, they prefer not to commute any longer unless they have to for basic essentials. So we do bring some services in as well. So I think what you'd find is that you're not going to see nearly as much traffic, and it certainly won't be in the hours that are really causing the mass congestion in the area. So that would alleviate some of that concern. I don't think we're going to go to 140 units either. I think we're probably going to be closer to 120 to 130. So just to kind of give a better equation in terms of what we'd be working with. Most of those households are going to be households that have, like you said, if they have a car, it's a one individual senior that's in the retirement age with maybe a vehicle, and that's it. So we don't have a lot of that involving traffic like you would in a family property. But it is something we want to make sure that we're addressing as well. We understand the concerns.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Yes.
Awesome idea. I love it. I'm all for it. But I'd like, because of the traffic that Sam is talking about, and what type of facilities this is going to be, is there a way that they can get from the complex over to the shopping center without going out onto Morris Chapel? Is there a back way or a path or something that, like a walking?
If you see right there, there's squiggly lines. It's kind of like to the left, if you can see the site plan. Susan?
Got some. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it.
We put a walking path. We're trying to work with the city to put a pathway to get them to the sidewalk, because there's a sidewalk on Morris Chapel Road there. We want to connect to that to give them, like you said, the easy walkway, so they don't have to get into their vehicle and drive to the grocery. And we expect that quite a few will do that. Again, that little shopping center has so much basic necessities that seniors, between grocery, pharmacy, some basic essentials as well as medical, it's going to be quite common to see them walking to and, back and forth.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Morris Chapel is really, really busy, and I think it would be a safety. I wish you had a way that they could get from the complex to the shopping center that did not mean having to walk out on the sidewalk at Morris Chapel. That's just like a
Sure.
straight.
Susie, we looked at that there. We walked it with Sam.
Yeah,
I don't think we appreciated how big that drop. There's like a 30 to 40 foot drop
really.
from, is it Salmon Road, Nolan? There's-
Yes. So can you see my mouse on
Yeah, I
the
can.
screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the edge of this existing drive, right, it's a little hard to see in the rendering because it's faded out. But where my mouse is here, there's a large retaining wall holding up that existing site. And from the edge of this roadway,
Yeah.
as we come plan south on the screen, there is over a 30-foot drop off. There's a significant grade change, and we did explore options of continuing that public road, as well as potential walking path options. And the grade changes, as well as it being a 100-foot post-construction buffer, made it extremely challenging.
Oh, that's that too,
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Even side, there's no way of like cutting over to go towards the back of the shopping center and go around.
There's not
Okay.
that grade change, and the 100-foot buffer runs on the entire eastern line of the site. There's a creek on the eastern property line,
Yeah.
running all the way through the site. And as you extend farther south, there is the existing development, the existing neighborhood where Sam lives, that he mentioned. So trying to
Nolan-
navigate through there is difficult as well.
I wonder if there could be some added safety features on Morris Chapel, just not a sidewalk. Maybe there's, you know how they have those steel railings on the roadside, just to provide a little bit more safety for someone just walking on Morris Chapel.
Because you're literally right there at the roundabout, and the traffic is plus the fact that there's going to be a stoplight right there on Kendall where Sam's development is. So, any kind of safety features that you could an option would certainly be beneficial.
do that because that's why we wanted to connect where we're doing as they discussed the drop off, our not only is it almost from a developmental perspective impossible, but without putting a massive bridge really. Also concerns for the safety of our households, such a massive drop, somebody was to slip,
Right.
putting a pedestrian or something over such a, we didn't, that was just too concerning. So we're trying to cut off, and we, as best as we can, work tightly with the city to try to lessen their connections more Apple as possible. I'm with Kevin too. We're trying to see if we can put some more safety features, at least railings and such right there till they get to the shopping center to protect.
That would be, and street lights, like it's very, very dark there at the roundabout. Especially in the wintertime, we've been complaining about needing the street lights kind of like over around there because it's so dark, but is there going to be any type of like lighting that's going to be around that area?
We'll have within the parking area and within the entryway area, we'll have a very bright, well-lit property. And I think the way it is, I don't know if we're going to have anything all the way to Morris Chapel, but I do believe it from Dilling Farm, it's going to illuminate quite well there.
Okay.
Some additional illumination, natural illumination, just because we'll have sort of the parking garage, the parking lot will have its street with LED lighting that'll really, because that we need that for safety for our households, but it'll also expand outward a quite large area, which shouldn't be it's just enforced.
Susie, if you get a chance, our other project, which is it's approaching 80% complete. It's right off of West Boulevard in Timola.
Okay.
just to give you a feel for what we're building, the quality. You know, behind what we're building. We partner with obviously urban design, but neighboring concepts is our architect. They're a local Charlotte group, very well respected. They build, you know, to mold into the community. So we take all this into consideration. We just don't try to come in and build what we want. We literally will take everyone's suggestions and try to mold our project so that you're happy. And I encourage you to go over there. You could take a tour of it and talk to our neighborhood and our coalition partners. We do everything possibly just to meet, you know, Sam's needs, your needs. We're even going to try to make good neighbors with this. I'm not sure what this is, this pig farm or. And I did want to ask, I guess, get the neighborhoods. What is your perception of what's going on in the south there? Some of those neighbors, is that? I guess what is the neighborhood of that whole area, the Dilling farm? I guess.
Well, I would say
area.
I would say the farm people, they really don't bother us a lot. What I would share though is that because it's not a lot of traffic, but what I would share though is that because it's a chicken farm and they have like the chicken farmhouse, they got all type of animals there. Sometimes in the summer, the smell is extremely bad and it's strong and it lingers for damn near the whole day, depending on how hot it is. So that could be problematic for the seniors because they're very proximate to it. I know in my neighborhood, we smell it all the way in deep in the neighborhood in the summer when it's hot outside. So I did have a few more questions, but go ahead, Susie. Sorry.
No, Sam, that was really good. I was just going to ask about, you know, where is the shooting range? Because I know we hear them that I thought they were shooting there at that.
No, the shooting range is further. It's it's on a bridge across the bridge going towards 85.
Okay.
It's further down.
Okay.
Yeah, I might can point that out if I can find the correct slide. So that's the range is farther down this way, if you can see my mouse.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah. So couple more questions, and I would just start by saying, me personally, I'm not really happy with this design. Primarily traffic. I wish there was a way, and I did see that drop off and the creek that's running through there when I walked the site with y'all, but I wish there was a way you all could connect that street that would help alleviate the traffic up of Morris Chapel Road. Because again, I live there, I see the nightmare. I see how bad it is and people coming up that ramp and getting in accidents. So I can only imagine what that would be when you have a 70-year-old person trying to make a right turn, and you have someone speeding up that ramp. It's going to be a nightmare. So I'm just putting it out there now that what I'm looking at, I'm not happy with. The other two questions I have really quick is, so I've seen the property on West Boulevard, ride past it every day. It does look good. It does fit a lot of standards and check a lot of boxes that we will be looking for. So my first question is it a way similar to what you guys did on West Boulevard? Is it a way to make this an L shape, that make it an L-shaped building instead of the two front facing the freeway? And then two, I'll be interested, I don't know if you all have it now, but I'll be interested to see what the colors, what the actual buildings will look like, because this is on a major thoroughfare, and we are trying to make sure that we are keeping the integrity of our property. I don't want someone driving past and see this building don't look up to par from a design standard. So I'm interested to see what the design looked like, and would it be appealing to someone driving on 45 or if they come up on 45 to go to the Whitewater Center, would it be appealing to support this neighborhood per se? And then also, if it's possible, you also make it an L shape instead of just two stacked buildings.
We can do an L shape. Sometimes it's all predicated on, what the site layout is. The other project was a much more condensed site, and we don't. Is there? You wanted an L? Is there? You looking for more buffer? Which way would how would you want it to go? I guess is the question. To bring that L in there. is what the first question. We can explore that. And like, Kevin said, there's no problem. What we can do and we will make sure we do, and we did with West Boulevard is we'll give you, and you can help us select all the color patterning for the exterior of the property. So then make sure that it's in keeping both with what you think would look good and blend well with the neighborhood and the surroundings, and also would be a nice entry feature, feature for the community. So we don't mind putting anything, putting forth our commitment to you guys to bringing you into the design process a little bit.
Sure. And then the last thing I just want to put in a space is I see there's a lot of greenery, which I'm really happy for. And I see the sidewalk, and I know that's one of the things we discussed. But is it possible in this design, either for you guys to allocate it or for you all to build it, but some form of a common area where the seniors can take advantage of just to sit? And I don't necessarily say a park, because 55 and older, they're probably not gonna have no kids there long term, but some type of green space that's just open, that the seniors can take advantage of, but also the adjacent community can take advantage of.
Well, I don't know how the problem with adjacent community is just the circumstance that the projects are disconnected, with this natural buffer that we have. So it'd be difficult for us to create sort of that space, and then because it end up having to be a destination where somebody would have to drive in and park, and now we're creating more of a parking issue once again.
But certainly for the seniors,
But for households, when we get further into design, and you'll see Nathaniel down in West Boulevard, where it's configured very large, and we want to do something like this, called very large seating area, covered pavilion. There are cabanas out there. We usually put planters and stuff. We didn't do it in West Boulevard. This is an area we'd probably put some gardening areas. Senior, where we put in very raised up planters, usually probably half acres worth, where each senior can have their own little area where they can plant vegetables, plants, and so forth. We provide all the equipment, walkways around it, make it very, so that we sure we bring the seniors out in green space for sure. So,
Nolan, I got a question in terms of that. Is there any other? I mean, we have to ultimately dump on Dilling Farm Road. There's no other.
That's yeah, Kevin, you're right. Ultimately, the traffic has to end up on Moore's Chapel Road, whether it really be through Dilling Farm or a bridge connection to that existing development at Kendall. But it'll really the best location is Dilling Farm Road, and we are coordinating different improvements with NCDOT. Because Dilling Farm Road is an NCDOT road, as well as CDOT, the Charlotte Department of Transportation, to see what improvements can be installed based on the different organizations' guidelines and what they would like to see on their roadways.
And I'm quite sure if we want to do an L, I'm quite sure it can fit on here, and we can design one. Neighboring does great work. I mean, this is just two boxes, right? We're gonna show you guys some really cool stuff. Assuming we get approval, that I'm very blown away about. And we don't skimp. We build high quality, and we utilize all of our grade features, design features. And the great news is you're going to be able to see it in living truth here in the next few months, right down the road. So we're just not promising something. We're going to actually show you what we can do before any of this probably gets approved.
Yeah.
So
we actually went to the of having 4 different charrettes of different color schemes for the exterior lines, and the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition voted on which one they liked the best. So we'll put that as commitment to you guys, we'll do that, you know, in writing among other things. You know, make sure that the building sort of fits what you think is the best conforming way to make it work on the site. If you know, if you think it works and it does fit, or we put abbreviated L and maybe, you know, just enough to push it further down away from you know, Dilling and Morris Chapel, we'll work with you and love the feedback, because quite honestly, we want to be, you know, an attractive feature to the neighborhood. We want to blend with the neighborhood. So we'd love to, Susan, both your and your neighborhood's opinions as to what we're going to do with the property.
So there, can anyone hear? Because everything's cutting out for me.
Hey, Susie, we can hear you. Yes.
I think I agree with Sam. My only drawback is just you guys, I don't know if you're out here around the times like in the morning or in the afternoon, but the traffic is horrendous. And also on that chicken farm place, they park a lot of the larger trucks over there on that road. I can't imagine that being a nice place for, you know, for seniors to live. I'm glad. I would rather see this than an apartment complex or something like that. But my big concern about
warehouse.
yeah, the traffic is just
Why am I, yeah, I can't imagine trying to make a left-hand turn from Dilling Farm Road onto Morris Chapel at this time of day. Would be impossible.
yeah.
Yeah, just
And Susie brought up another really good point regarding the trucks. So we've been fighting the state, NCDOT, the state,
yeah,
to make sure that these 18-wheelers stop parking on these ramps, because it's really, really bad when you're coming off the ramp. So we were finally able to get them to put the do not park on one side, on the left side of the ramp, but they haven't put it on the right side of the ramp. And I don't think there's no plan on doing that. So in any given night, there's at least 20 from the exit, from Morris Chapel exit, coming from 85 to going down on Morris Chapel exit, going to Brookshire. There's at least 15 to 20 trucks that's always parked there. I don't know how appealing that's going to be for seniors having 18-wheelers parked and they can look out the window and see it every night. So that's another conversation, bigger conversation that could be had.
I think, you know, here's a good thing. I think it would be very positive. Security issue. You know, one thing about our properties that we're going to have, we brought up the lighting. That parking lot is going to be lit up like a Christmas tree every day.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, because it's going to have very a lot of park lighting. You know, not somewhere so somebody can sort of hide. We also put a lot of cameras in and around our property and secured access way into the entire buildings, as well as if we think it's a concern, we put a secured access way into the parking lot as well. So while it's not perfect, I think what we would do is we provide security even to your neighborhood, almost like a buffer, in the sense of those guys are going to have to go through our property, and there's going to be a lot of cameras and a lot of signs that say to them, we've got cameras, we're recording you. And, you know, so it does provide some security there. I'm not too worried about our seniors. I think we're going to have a good foot buffer there. We provide security for buildings. I don't think we'll be too concerned about it, but you have sort of next line of defense that we can provide from anything, any kind of riffraff from these truckers that get to spend the night there. You know, it's something to be said about that.
Yeah, and if I'll add to the traffic concern, a point Kevin mentioned earlier is that, you know, not only are there lower trips because this is senior housing and an affordable housing product, but statistically, the peak volume hours don't correlate with traditional housing developments. So your 6 o'clock to 8 a.m., you know, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. general peak hours. would not correlate with this development's peak hours. They're going to be later in the morning and earlier in the afternoon.
That's
So
right.
it will add volume to the roadways. It'll be at different times, so it will help distribute better.
That's right.
But we're happy to continue coordinating with CDOT and NCDOT and including you in conversations about potential improvements along Morris Chapel Road, as well as if we can be involved in the parking situation. We're happy to help start a conversation and be involved in a conversation for the betterment of the area.
Love that.
Nolan,
And the only other thing I would add to that, as you all are talking to NCDOT, if this configuration as we're looking at is the one that's going to stick, it will be really good if there is so when you're coming from Dilling Farm, right, if you turn that right on Morris, because everyone will have to turn right on Morris Chapel. But if you all could put a lane, like a starter lane for the folks coming up Dilling Farm, that they could just go ahead and turn and start before you get to the entrance of the pool line or the entrance of the shopping center. That way you can at least push that traffic out, instead of, them having to make a right turn. And then again, I'm thinking about an 80-year-old trying to make a turn on a busy thoroughfare. That's going to take 30.
Yeah.
That's going to take 35 minutes to make that right turn. But if they have a leading street, they can turn and keep going without disrupting the traffic. That's the only viable option I think that may work with this configuration. But just want to put it out there when you guys are talking to NCDOT.
That's a great point, Sam. And I think we did a similar on our West Boulevard. NCDOT, we had to make that adjustment, which is perfectly great idea.
Yeah, if we can get a deceleration or or a turn lane there or something to that effect, I think that'll be something, urban, we'll work on that because we definitely want to make sure providing, even you can't emphasize enough is like we said, is that the intervals and the timing and when all of our households will be out will be, he's correct. It's not going to be during the normal heavy commuting periods of time, but it still is a very active road. And if they'll allow us, I think that's definitely something we'd like to try to do.
And we can, like Steve said, we can lower the cap on the units. We could try to get 120, 125, somewhere in there versus a 140. That'll help a little bit as well.
One other thing, Sam, if you remember when we were working with the rezoning petition over on Morris Chapel Road, I think that Morris Chapel is going to start being a one-way. Like, you're not going to be able to, what am I thinking, Sam? You got to go way down Morris Chapel in order to come back up to get to the roundabout. They're making some kind of, so that people can get out from Old Morris Chapel, because that's going to be a huge development. So I don't know how your people coming out of Dilling Farm is going to be able to make a left. I mean, they're going to have to kind of come down all the way to Forest Pawtucket to make a U-turn to go to the other way. Sam, are you understanding about?
Yeah. Again, I think that once again, I mean, the predominant trips that most of our seniors will be making are medical visits and essentials. So honestly, I think probably a third of most of the weekly trips are going to be to that shopping center right there, right next door. So if they're not walking it.
Yeah, but I think it's the light they're putting on Kendall. There's going to have to be another lane, like a left-hand lane for a left-hand turn to go to the other way for the roundabout. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. I'm just seeing that could be trying to get, I mean, if they're making a right and keeping on going, that's fine. But if they need to go to the roundabout to get on 485, we're going to need another lane at that stoplight that's going in at Kendall, like a turning lane, a left turning lane.
Or they'll turn into the Food Line parking lot and come back up and around and then get back on Morris Chapel.
And then have to go to the stoplight.
Go to the light and make a left.
And make a left. So they'll have to come through the shopping center to go to the light to make a left.
Correct.
Okay.
Which isn't the ideal. situation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ann.
No, that's fine.
Nolan, by right, this, so if our project does not work, this is by right, what's allowed?
So
So, correct?
it's hard to say what exactly is allowed because so many uses are allowed in the MX2 zone.
Yeah.
The original entitlement from 2005 was for 144 traditional apartments.
This is much better than that.
And Susie,
Well,
I think
I guess that was our, I guess that was my point. I mean, something's gonna get developed here. Everyone knows
Yeah.
Charlotte, there's not a lot of land left, and these
Yeah.
market rate guys just don't care. They just build just whatever, and it's gonna be a family product. The market rate side's a little soft right now, especially in Charlotte. It's built, but that will come back in the next 12 to 18 months or 2 years. So ultimately, something's gonna get built here.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that for me, just my opinion, this is our best option, because it'll limit some of the traffic that we would be getting if it's an apartment complex, so,
Bought it
I-
from a group that's exactly what they're do.
yeah. I just
So-
wish you guys could help us. I mean, because our strength is in numbers, and if we have you behind us pushing for better roads, more, avenues.
will.
Yeah, that would be because Sam and
We'll
I.
be there for you guys all the way through. I mean, listen, Urban and they're gonna see NCDOT and Charlotte DOT are gonna we're gonna have frank discussions all the way through on our designs. And we'll be for any changes that you guys suggest that need to be made.
I'll ask him to extend. I'll ask him to extend as well from Food Line, but that's probably a $3 or $4 million project. So at a minimum, I don't think
You would have to pay for it.
That's what I'm saying.
No other developers
That's
would
right.
pay for
it's just, I guess because of the buffers, Noel, that would be problematic.
it would be challenging, certainly. And yeah, there's a lot of coordination that would take place for any improvements in the area, with both departments having jurisdiction on the roadways. But I agree to your point. It's always better to have a united front. The more people that you can have in support, with a united goal and vision when you're working with NCDOT, CDOT, or other organizations, is beneficial. So as the gentleman have mentioned, as the team has mentioned throughout the evening, excuse me, we're looking forward and we're extremely open to having those conversations and bringing everyone to the table to meet with the necessary departments for the betterment of not only this project but the betterment of the community and area as a whole, which is important.
I'll just add, Susie and Ann, because we have to own these properties for a minimum of 15 years. Steve and myself are personal guarantors on all of our properties. So we're just not in here flipping this property, making money. We're long-term owners, not default on this property. We cannot have complaints. We have to uphold the utmost security standards, conditions overall. So we are in this property for the long term. So we are committed to the community, to the neighborhood. I went to school in Charlotte, so I have friends, family. I mean, this is, in part my community. So we are invested in all of our projects, but in Charlotte really hits home for us. So I hope that just gives you a little bit better sense of who we are versus, just a market rate guy that typically, builds, constructs, flips, they're gone, makes their profit and run. We don't do that. We are 30-year holds on properties.
So why did you not
Yeah,
take
thank
over
you.
the chicken farm?
I'm sorry?
Why did you guys not take over the chicken farm? Are they just not selling or
No, they weren't for sale.
What? Yeah, it wasn't for sale. What we would love to, because it's, it's an eyesore, and hopefully we can help clean up that area and have a good relation with them. But clearly that you can just tell that area needs to be cleaned up. It's just.
Yeah, speaking of the chicken farm, if I could say two things. One, um, I think the chicken farm will be a problem because again of that smell. So I don't know if there's space to increase the tree buffer that could absorb some of that smell that comes in the summer. But because you all are so proximate to the chicken farm, I can almost guarantee you're gonna have a lot of your seniors complaining about the smell on a hot day and when they open those chicken coops or whatever they call them. When they open those things, the smell is bad and it lingers all day. The second thing I would say, part of the reason that a lot of this for me, the traffic again is concerning. This is the only real exit for the Whitewater Center, and then you have the River District that's coming less than a mile and a half away from us. So naturally, the traffic from the River District is gonna linger onto us because a lot of those folks don't want to go to the Whitewater Center because that's where the attraction is in this area. So again, I just wanted to keep having this conversation and not let that die down. We want to be very mindful because this corner right here, is a very appealing corner. Again, especially with the River District coming, is a very appealing corner, and we want to make sure that what you all are going to put up is something that can also be appealing from a traffic standpoint, from a aesthetic standpoint, that people will want to come um, and patronize the businesses, that will be in that area. So to Susan's point, I prefer this than a warehouse. I prefer this than an apartment because the original folks who owned it, I think I told Paul this a while ago. They wanted to build market rate they wanted to build some apartments there, and I wasn't too fond to that. So I appreciate this better than that, but I also want to make sure that we're covering all the issues before we walk away. Because once this is up, it's up forever.
Yeah. No, and like I said, Sam, Susie, to all your whole neighborhoods, we're committed to making sure that you guys are involved in the design phase. So Sam, you can rest from a design and aesthetics perspective. You can rest assured we won't finalize a look or a color scheme or design until we've shown it to you guys and you guys can say that looks great. That'll look great in the neighborhood. We want your buy off as much as anything. So that part we can assure, and we will work as much as we can, put as much, like I said, traffic mitigators as possible in that area. I'd love to put like a right turn lane and certainly strengthen the sidewalk there for our seniors so that it can encourage them to use the sidewalk in lieu of traffic as well.
Going drop off begin on North Chapel to the right when we come out. Where how steep is that right off the corner there? I think it drops pretty quick, right?
Right
there,
off
yeah.
of Morris Chapel Road, yes. So coming off of Morris Chapel Road, turning onto Dilling Farm Road, there is a guardrail in this curve, and it is a fairly extensive grade change in this area as well.
Yeah, and please don't forget to address I mean, when you all build it won't matter, but please don't forget to address that chicken farm because I would hate for seniors to have to smell that smell coming through their apartments every day in the summer when
Definitely.
they open those chicken houses.
Are they on the up and up and everything they're doing over there? I read they had some complaints a few
No,
years
they're not.
back.
They're not.
There have been some issues. We have complained because again, my neighborhood, we smell it. And you have to stay in the house and it's still come in your house. So we have complained several times to 311. They have been out there, but we don't get the follow up. So we don't know if there are citations, if they're making them clean up the site. But it's a bad smell when they open those chicken houses.
And we've heard that there's some dealings going on that are not really on the up and up. So, we would just be really excited if they would sell that property and we could have something really nice there. So maybe they will eventually. I don't know, but
Yeah, we can certainly reach out. It's just holy moly. So like I said, I mean,
Our over there. One thing we will do is we will serve as a needed security buffer. We're gonna have cameras. We're gonna have well-lit parking lot. We're gonna have active management that's on site. So there's not going to be anything they're going to get away with that we're not going to be complaining about and telling the city about immediately.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right. Any other
Thank
topics
y'all. That's all
we
from
can,
me.
we can touch on? Any other questions? Ann, Susie? Thank you,
No,
Sam.
that's it for me.
No, and let's get with Paul and you all in the next. We can talk about, looking at an L and just seeing, shrinking this a little bit and maybe seeing how an L fits in there and just start to play around a little bit.
Sure.
And then
We can
Then
do
we
that.
can have neighboring start to throw a few designs just to start.
Yeah, absolutely. We can
Here's, we
jump
can show
ahead
Sam
in
and
the coming days and in the coming weeks. All right.
Sounds
Well,
good. Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Very much, y'all.
as we move out, I'll let everyone know this recording, if you would like to go back and listen to any of it, will be available online on our website at urbandesignpartners.com/rezoning. So that's available for you. We will also be providing minutes to the city of Charlotte and a report of this meeting. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is ngroce@urbandesignpartners.com, or you can give me a call at the office at 704-334-3303. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us and discuss Rezoning Petition 2023-124. With that, I apologize for the screen jumping like that, but I hope you have a fantastic evening. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Nolan, Susie,
Thank
Sam,
you.
and
Take care.
Bye, guys.